Good morning, Morai V'Rabotai, Bruchim Abayim. We're continuing on Masechet Rosh Hashanah. We are starting the third Perek Ra'uhu Bedin, Daf Chaf Hei Amud Bet. Today's Amud is being learned as Zchut Rufa Shelma for Rachel Simcha Bat Nahid, Daniel Moshe Ben Farangis Avraham, Benjamin Bat Rina, Caleb Bat Nazi, Sigalit Bat Yafa, Levi Alevi Ben Leah. They should all have Refuah Shelma B'toch Sha'ar Cholei Yisrael. Amen. His Amud is also being learned, the Ilui Nishmat, Harav Moshe Yisrael Ben Harav Binyamin, and Harav Ezra David Ben Rav Naftali Halevi, together with Esther Bat Yehuda, that their Neshamot should have an Aliyah. This month's learning of the community has been graciously dedicated by the Shei family. It should be an ultimate zchut for the Mishpacha. Amen. So says the Mishnah, this is the structure of the Perek, is going to be mainly the halachot of shofar, which is very interesting, very relevant. Everyone relates to all of the halachot of shofar, of what type of shofar you could use, what type you can't use, even within the types that you could use. When is it kasher, when is it pasur? If he has a hole, if he has a crack, can you blow it backwards? Can you alter the shape of the sukkah? How small, how large does he have to be? Does he have to twist? What animals? Yes, no. Can I cover it with gold? And so on. And then you have the halachot of actual blowing of the shofar. Who is kasher to blow the shofar? Who is chayav? Who is patur? And how many blows do you have to have? What's shvarim? What's teruah? And ki'ah? All those things are going to be the gist of this perek. That's really what Perek Shlishi deals with. Fascinating halachot, except the first Mishnah. The first Mishnah still is finishing off the halachot of Kiddush HaChodesh, and it has a very specific discussion. We spoke about how it's done, where we send the shluchim, when we send the shluchim. This one is really the halachot of Bedin. Now that we spoke about Kiddush HaChodesh, how about if the Bedin themselves see it partially from the Bedin? How about if everybody saw it? Do you still have to announce it? What if the Dayanim, who usually say Mekudash, them three saw it? Do you have to now announce it still? Do you have to have a process of edut? And it gets into a little bit of the halachot of edut and a little bit of the halachot of judgments. Because this, as we'll see, Mishpat Elokei Yaakov, it is compared with Mishpat, with a regular judgment of a din Torah, and it takes on basically all the stringencies of Dinei Torah that have to be judged, adjudicated in the Bedin, as we will see. So says the Mishnah, Ra'u Bedin ve'chol Yisrael. If the Bedin and entire Klal Yisrael see it, it is like as clear as you could get. Nice clear sky, beautiful moon, and everyone is out there, and they all see it. The Bedin is there, the community is out there, everybody saw the moon. Now this is on the night, the day of Shloshim, right before night, right? So on the 30th day of the month, you have not been Mekadesh the Chodesh, and you are Lifnot Erev, Mamash before sundown, before nightfall, and you see, all of you see the moon, right? Now, if you say Mekudash, 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 right, that means he says Mekudash and they say Mekudash, Mekudash, then you're good, right? That means today was Rosh Chodesh, and that would be amazing, right? Now, if it becomes nightfall, night you cannot announce. The Bedin does not operate at night, so you can't announce it until tomorrow. So that would obviously make the Chodesh Meubar. That would now be the day 31, and the Chodesh would be Meubar. So it's very important when you see it in such a scenario that you have right before the nightfall, you have the visibility of the moon. If they announce it before, you're good, because the Bedin could operate during the day still. If you don't, then it's going to be pushed off until tomorrow, or maybe not, because we saw it, the Edim saw it. So now we have had the fortune of having discussed this a little bit when it came up in the previous perek, that it really depends on the announcement of the Bedin. The fact that the Bedin himself or themselves saw it does not necessarily create the opportunity for them to say, well, we saw it on Shloshim. It should not be Me'ubar because the Bedin themselves saw it. It depends on Asher Tikra'u Otam B'Mo'adam. You have to actually call it Mekudash, and without that, the Chodesh will be Me'ubar. So says the Mishnah, Ra'u Bedin V'chol Yisrael. If the Bedin together with the whole community saw the new moon, or the case of Nechkeru Ha'edim V'lo Yispiku Lomar Mekudash, or you had a regular month, the Bedin didn't see it, the community didn't see it, two Edim come in, and you have to examine them and then cross-examine them. It's a process, a lengthy process, sometimes takes longer than other times, and depends when they come in. They came in right before the nightfall, and you couldn't finish examining them until it became night, or the Bedin and the community saw it during the day, and until they have to still go through the process of giving the edut, and they couldn't get to do that and call it Mekudash before night until it became night. Says the Mishnah, if that happened, V'lo yispiku lomar Mekudash, and didn't get the chance to say Mekudash at Shchashecha until it became dark, Hareze Me'ubar. This month will be Me'ubar, so the 31st day would be Rosh Chodesh instead of the 30th day.
Can you see the moon during the day?
Yeah, right before dark, you see it.
Before sunset?
Yeah, try it today.
But when it's obviously just a tiny sliver.
Obviously, this is sometimes you could, not always, but sometimes you can, depending on how especially if it's every hour counts. Like obviously, the first 24 hours after Molad is a little harder, depending on where you are and how close the moon is and how much light pollution you have, which they didn't, right? But even nowadays in Los Angeles, certainly you could see the moon during the day. It's for sure, right? So says the Gemara, this is a Mishnah. Ra'u, second scenario, or really third scenario, right? We have two scenarios so far, that the Bedin and the whole community saw it, or the regular cross-examination of the Edim took longer until it became night before they say Mekudash. The third scenario over here is Ra'u Bedin Bilvad. Only the Bedin saw it, right? The Bedin was out. Sometimes they would have decisions to make on the rooftops and so on and so forth, like we have learned before. And imagine they saw, the whole Bedin saw the new moon. They are the Edim, and they are the Bedin themselves, right? So what do you do with that? Says the Mishnah, Ra'u Bedin Bilvad, Ya'amdu Shanayim ve'ya'idu bifnehem. Two of the Bedin members have to stand up, they have to really act this out. So 10 people are on the Bedin, for instance, and they all saw it. You can't just say, well, we all saw it, Mekudash, Mekudash. You can't do that. Two of them have to stand up in front of the rest of them and give edut, we saw the moon. And they say, oh, you saw the moon, fine, Mekudash, Mekudash, right? V'yomru Mekudash, Mekudash. Ra'u Shlosha, the fourth scenario, Ra'u Shlosha ve'em Bedin. Again, the Bedin side, but not the whole Bedin. Only 3 Dayanim of the Bedin side, right? Only 3 Dayanim of the Bedin side, so what do you do now? You still need edut. So do you stand both of them and there will be me'id in front of one of them? Says the Mishnah, absolutely not. Ya'amdu hashanayim, 2 of them should stand up, the 2 that are less significant, leaving the most significant person sitting, but that's not enough. V'yoshivu mechavrehem etzel hayachid, and they should go bring 2 other dayanim of the Bedin who were not there present seeing the moon, and they will sit together with the head of the Bedin, with the most significant of the 3, and they would testify v'ya'idu b'fnehem and they would testify to say, "Yomru mekudash mekudash," and then the bedin will say, "Mekudash mekudash." She'ein hayachid, and this is the halacha that is prompted by this scenario. She'ein hayachid ne'eman al yedei atzmo, because you cannot have, I don't care how significant the person is, even if you would have Moshe Rabbeinu himself, you can't have one person in the din of Edut HaChodesh. Now, we will see soon in the Gemara that this is a big chiddush, because in other areas, there are examples that a Dayan alone could actually sit to adjudicate cases, which we'll see. But here, the halakha of the Mishnah is absolutely not. As significant as he may be, as great as he may be, he cannot be a Dayan Yechidi, Dan Yechidi, in the case of Kiddush HaChodesh. Says the Gemara, Lama li lemitna ra'u bedin v'chol Yisrael. Why do you have to say the case of the whole Klal Yisrael, the whole community, and the bedin seeing the new moon? Why do you need that, right? If the bedin saw it, so why do you need the Klal Yisrael part of it, right? Just say Ra'u bedin. The Gemara is going to go through all of these cases that we had and say, why do you need this one? Once you said this, why do you need the other one? Each one of them has to be significant if it made it to the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, he authored the Mishnayot in the shortest way possible. One of the reasons that perhaps that Mishnah took over the Braita, I mean, many times you find in the Gemara that the Mishnah is not clear what exactly it means. And he wants to say, I found the Braita that says the halakha, the Mishnah, and explains exactly your question. Why? Because the Braitot were written also in a shorthand language, but as much longer than the Mishnah. That's one of the reasons that Mishnayot were accepted. The work of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi was accepted as the platform of Torah Sheba'al Peh, because it was the most practical for people to memorize. People knew Mishnayot by heart, right? The entire Mishnayot, they used to sing it, they used to review it, every father with the son, everyone knew Mishnayot by heart, the entire Mishnayot we're talking about, right? And obviously when you want to do that, it needs to have a rhyme, it needs to have the shortest version in order to be able to memorize it, and that's how Rebbe wrote it. It's striking that Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says, he said, you should always be able to teach in the shortest way possible for people to remember it. And he's also the one that says, Rabbi Yehuda noten b'hem simanim, tasach adash ba'achav, right? When we say the Eser Makot, Rabbi Yehuda noten b'hem simanim, tasach, that's Rabbi Yehuda, because he had mastered the art of memory game for people, how to teach that people would remember it the best way. Now, you could go tell people, right? You could do that, and then after a month, they'll say, which one was first, right? Now, you could either sing it, or you could have a siman, right? It's much easier to remember dasach hadash ba'achav, and you say, okay, dasach, that means dam svardia kinim, right? That's how you'll remember. And that, my Rosh Hashanah, Ruderman, used to say that that's why Rabbi Yehuda, when the Gemara announces him, he was Rosh HaMedabrim Bechol Makom. He was called, his nickname was Rosh HaMedabrim Bechol Makom. He was the first one who always spoke. He was the most popular speaker, not just because of his level, the high level of Torah, but because, said Rosh Shiva, because he knew how to be short, right? He knew how to be short. So that's Rosh HaMedabrim Bechol Makom, because people, you have to be able to say it in a short, concise way. So Mishnayot are always super concise. So anything that made it in the Mishnah has to be very meaningful. So why give me 4 or 5 cases if you could just say one? So it says the Gemara, Lama li lemiten ra'u bedin v'chol Yisrael. Why do I need to know that all of Klal Yisrael saw it? Istrich says the Gemara, Otazai, good question. It's needed. It's teaching you something. I would have thought, Ho'il v'ra'u bedin v'chol Yisrael, who are you announcing this for, right? Everyone that you want to announce it for saw it already, right? It became now so well known, everyone knows that on day Shloshim, the moon was seen. Right? So what day should be Rosh Chodesh? Shloshim. Right? Now it became night. Okay, practical problem. You have a technical problem, right? The technical problem, you couldn't say Mekudash before night. But everyone saw it for themselves. They don't have to rely on so maybe because it became so mefursam that the whole community saw it, we shouldn't make the Chodesh Meubar, and we should keep it that the 30th was Rosh Chodesh and not 31st. And says the Gemara, that is the Chiddush, that even though that everyone saw it, still, if you didn't get to say the words Mekudash, if the Bedin didn't announce it, it all depends on the announcement of the Bedin. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu has said it. Asher tikreu otam b'mo'adam. If you didn't call it, it's not it. Everyone saw it, doesn't matter. That's the Chiddush. The Chiddush is that even if the entire community saw it, and is as mefursam as it could have been, still, it was broadcasted live to the whole community, doesn't matter. If they did not say it, they did not get to say Mekudash before nightfall, and night, as we'll see, cannot operate, the Bedin cannot operate at night for this matter, then the Chodesh would be delayed, the Rosh Chodesh would be delayed, and the month would be Meubar. Says the Gemara. Kamash Malan, Bekevan, once you told me Ra'u Bedin V'chol Yisrael scenario, then Nechkeru Aedim Lamali. So why do you need to also have Edim? Everyone saw it. Just have the Dayarim stand and say, why do you need also a Bedin? That's how the Gemara is thinking the scenario is. No, that's not the case. Hachikamar. This is what it's saying. Inami Nechkeru Aedim. It's a second scenario. One scenario is Ra'u Bedin V'chol Yisrael. Everyone saw it. Then you need to stand, give the edut, and say Mekudash. The second scenario is a regular month. The Bedin didn't see it. The community didn't see it. Two Edim come knock on the door of the Bedin. We saw the new moon. Hazaku Baruch, sit down. You separate them, different rooms. You start examining them and then cross-examining them. It takes time. So if you did the process of examination of the witnesses and didn't get to actually confirm all of their information until it became night, then you're like, too late. We can't now call it Mekudash, and that would be the same thing. Now, obviously, you have to ask, what's the Chiddush, right? Because we mentioned already that if the Bedin did not get the chance to say Mekudash until nightfall, they can no longer do it, and the Chodesh would be Meubar, right? So obviously, the edut of the Edim is not going to be better than the Dayanim themselves seeing it, right? So obviously, if the edut of the Edim was not verified until night came, obviously, you can't call it Mekudash at night, and obviously, it should become Meubar, right? So why does the Mishnah have to tell me that? You told me that if you didn't get our act together until night, you can't do anything about it. You already said that. And the greatest level of that is Ra'u Bedin V'chol Yisrael. The whole community saw, and still you can't do it at night. Night comes, done. You're a day delayed already. So why do you have to tell me a regular case of Edim? Yeah, obviously we understand you have to cross-examine them. And then if you tell me, well, we didn't finish the examination and the verification of the Edim until night, what should be the halacha? Everyone here around this big table would tell you the Chodesh should be Meubar because you can't say Mekudash at night, right? Everyone would know that. So why do you have to say a second case? Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, once you already told me in the initial case of the Ra'u Bedin V'chol Yisrael that if it became night, and you didn't say Mekudash, it becomes Meubar. Why do you have to say it again here? Lama li lemitneye chakirat ha'edim. So says the Gemara, chakirat ha'edim Why do you have to say bichlal the case of hakirat ha'edim? Says the Gemara, istrich. It's needed. You know why? Sal kadata chamina. Try to be creative. What would you say? It's awesome. Listen to this. Sal kadata chamina. I would have thought te'aveh hakirat ha'edim kitchilat din umekudash mekudash kigimar din. When you have a judgment, the din Torah, there's different stages of the din Torah. They come, you start the adjudication, you start the din Torah, he says his part, he says his part, and then question them and examine them. And then there is the psak din. Once they know everything that they need to know, and they've examined the halacha and everything, there is the psak din. They say, ploni ata chayav, ploni ata zakai, right? That is the end, right? End of the din is gemar din. The beginning is tchilat din. And in dinei mamonot, this makes a difference. Whereas in dinei nefashot, when you're adjudicating someone for life sentencing, then you cannot have any part of it at night. No part of it could be at night. But for dinei mamonot, for regular monetary disputes, if you started a din Torah during the day, and then it became night when is the part of Gemar Din, you could finish the Gemar Din at night, provided that you started the din during the day properly, right? So if the Tchilat Din was Beyom, you could go on and finish it up even at night. That's by Dinei Mamonot. So I would have thought that this should also be two parts. There's the Edim coming and saying their part, and then we have to deal with it, just like a Din Torah. We have to, to cross-examine them and evaluate their information, right, and verify their testimony, and then we pass in the saying of the Mekudash should be like the Psak Din, the Gemar Din. That's what I would have thought. So therefore, I would have thought that once they started the process during the day, I should be able to finish it up at night, and it will be fine. Like a Din Torah, like a regular thing. You tell me this is like Din Torah, let it be like a Dinei Mamorot. And that would be the difference between the case that the whole Beit Din and Klal Yisrael saw it, because there's no adjudication, there's no cross-examination, there's no verification, everyone saw it. They just have to stand and go through the process of saying Mekudash, Mekudash. There's only one part to that announcement. Whereas over here, the case of Edin, the two parts in the announcement. You have to first cross-examine everything that has been said, and then you could announce so it should be, let it be like Dinei Maborot, and the beginning when the Edim come and the Bedin, sits down to hear them and to question them, that should be like Techilat Din, and Mekudash should be like Gemar Din. And let it happen. That would have been the Hava Amina. And the maskana is, the chiddush is, that that's not good enough. You can't have any part of Kiddush HaChodesh at night. Because all we care about is Mekudash. That's what we care about. And that, as the Gemara is going to say, in the Pasuk has been compared with the Psak Din, with the Gemar Din. The part of Mekudash could never be at night. Says the Gemara, just like by Dinei Mamonot, that would be the halacha. Ditzran, as we learned in the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, Lamed Bet, Dinei Mamonot danin bayom vegomrin balayla. Monetary issues, you could start the judgment, the Bedin sits a session during the day, and you could finish it even at night. Hachanami mekadashim balayla. I would have thought here also you should be able to say mekudash at night as long as you started the process during the day. Kamash Malani comes to teach you this Mishnah. That's why you need this second scenario, to teach you that you can't have any part of it at night. The Emma Hachinami. Wait a second. That's a very good suggestion, actually. Why isn't this like Dinei Mamonot? Why isn't it? It has two parts, just like Dinei Mamonot. Why aren't we allowed to start it during the day and finish it at night? Says the Gemara, because of this pasuk. Amar Kra ki chok li Yisrael hu mishpat Elohei Yaakov. This is a pasuk, obviously speaking about Rosh Hashanah, right? Bakesel le'om chagenu. Ki chok le'Yisrael hu. This, the day of Rosh Hashanah, which is Rosh Chodesh also, right? Rosh Hashanah is Rosh Chodesh, is Mishpat le'Elokei Yaakov. So when is it chok le'Yisrael, right? Emat haveh chok. When is it chok? When you announce it, right? When does Rosh Hashanah become Rosh Hashanah? When you announce it. If you saw everything, you didn't announce it, it's fallen, it's worthless, right? So when does it become chok le'Yisrael? When you say mekudash, mekudash. And that is compared to mishpat le'Elokei Yaakov. B'Gemar Din, the chok becomes in Gemar Din, and kakari le'Rachmana mishpat. And that part of the Gemar Din, Hashem calls it mishpat. It has the halachot of mishpat, the halachot of a regular adjudication, which cannot be during the day, during the night, right? Has to be during the day. Ma mishpat bayom, let's just finish the sentence. Ma mishpat bayom, just like mishpat has to be during the day, av hachanami bayom. Here also, the mekudash has to be during the day. So that's the extra pasuk that we have, that we learn that no part of the Kiddush HaChodesh could be at night, even though that you started the process during the day, it's not sufficient. Right? Because the choklis, the psak din, the mekudash is compared to the mishpat, it has to be during the day.
I'm sorry, so why didn't we learn the same procedure from the first case? I'm missing that.
The first case meaning Ra'uhu Bedin. Because there you don't have any process. So Havamina is not even there. It's either during the day, all they have to do is stand there and say mekudash, right? There's no cross-examination. They themselves saw it. There's no doubt that these are not liars, these are not people who didn't know how the moon is supposed to look. These are the experts that every month do the examining of the edim. They are the ones who saw it. So there's no examination of the dayanim. They just have to stay there. So therefore, there's only one piece to the whole puzzle. Over here, you have the process. The process looks like a bit din Torah that has a process. They say their part, you have to examine them, and then you have to paskin. So here also, they say their part, you have to examine the edim, and you have to paskin. And the psak din is the mekudash. So the Gemara says, why can't you compare these two together? Just because the pasuk says that the part that is considered chok le'Yisrael, which is the psak din, is compared to mishpat le'Elokei Yaakov, which is din Torah has to be during the day. So it says,
you're saying in the first case they don't even talk to the witnesses at all?
There's no witnesses. They are the dayanim themselves saw it, right?
Later say like even the judges have to go and testify and sign this for?
Correct, but there's no cross-examination. Yeah. There's no cross-examination. There's no, says the Gemara. Just like a judgment, a din Torah has to be during the day, here also has to be the psak of mekudash has to be during the day. It's not merely sufficient that you started the process during the day. The end of the process, calling it mekudash, has to be bayom as well. Ra'u bedin. So the second/third scenario of the Mishnah was that the entire Bedin saw it. Two of them stand and testify in front of the rest, and then they call it Mekudash. He said, why do you have to say, we saw the moon? In other words, 10 people saw it together. Two of them stand in front of the rest who also saw it. They say, please hear us, we saw it. What's what? Them hearing you is better than them seeing it themselves? They saw it. Why do you need to verbalize, we saw the moon? They also saw it with you. Everyone is smiling, right, when you say this. So why do you exactly need it? Why wouldn't their re'iyah, their sight, be better than shmi'ah of listening to you testify about something they saw themselves with their eyes? Says the Gemara, Amar Reb Zera, Kegon shra'u balayla. Because they saw it at night. So therefore, they can't testify until the time was not kasher for the testimony. If the time of the testimony, the time of sight was also kasher for a testimony, you could say, okay, the re'iyah shouldn't be as big as, shmiyah shouldn't be as big as re'iyah. But they decide at night it's possible for saying it, for edut, so they have to now wait until tomorrow, right? And tomorrow, now they have to say it because this re'iyah would not be at the time of shmiyah. So it says, the Gemara, Ra'u shelosha vehen betin, the other case, last case, the fourth case, Ra'u shelosha vehen betin. Now 3 people saw it, and they are the dayanim of the betin, right? But there's only 3 of them, not the whole betin. Ya'amdu shnayim v'yoshivu bechavereihem etzel hayachid. That the Mishnah said the din is 2 of them will stand up and they would put 2 other people with the 3rd person, and then they would testify in front of them. Amai, why do you need this one now? Here also you could say that all 3 of them heard it, let them just say mekudash, mekudash. Why do you need the testimony in front of them? Oh, you want to tell me like the previous case, that they saw it at night and now they have to wait until the day? So you said that also in the previous case. So what's the chilush? There has to be a chilush in this last case. So says the Gemara, and if you want to suggest that this is also a case that they saw it at night, therefore the shmiyah and re'iyah is not comparable, you already said it to me. The Gemara says, no. The chidush of this case is the seifa is needed because ein hayachid ne'eman al yedei atzmo. The Mishnah said the reason for this last case is that one dayan, as great as he may be the head of the Sanhedrin, maybe the head of the Bet Din, still a yachid cannot be ne'eman al yedei atzmo to be adjudicating the halachot of kiddush hachodesh. Because I would have had a suggestion to compare this with other Dinei Torah. I would have thought, once we learned in the Mishnah, that normally for a Dinei Mamonot, for monetary adjudications, you have to have also 3. But if you had a Dayan who's Mumchel Rabim, he is the Av Bedin, he is Mumchel Rabim, everyone believes in him, everyone knows that he's the expert of the generation in Dinei Mamonot, then Dan Afiru Beyachid, he could adjudicate even sitting alone. He could. Shcharuch Paskins, this says not fit to do that, it's not suggested, right? It's not a proper thing. You should always sit with a proper bedin. The bigger the bedin, the better, and so on and so forth, right? Every mind has an argument, and sometimes there's an angle that you don't see, but they see, and so on and so forth. It's always how it is, right? So therefore, it's not a proper conduct. But halachically, if you have somebody that is mumchel rabim, is kasher for dinei mamonot to sit alone and adjudicate the case. So I would have thought here also, you have the head of the bedin, 3 people saw it, right? Let the 2 stand up in front of him and say, and let him say mekudash, mekudash, and that should be the sufficient halacha. Hachanami nikteshe biyachid. Here also we should be able to do it with having one of the dayan mumche as the bedin. Kamash Malan is teaching you that you can't do that by the dinim of kiddush chodesh. You need a full bedin. Ve'ema achinami says, well, wait, why not? Why can't you suggest that you should have a dayan yachid? Why can't it just be like dinei mamonot, right? Let it be like the regular dinei mamonot. Says the Gemara, En lecha mumchel rabim beYisrael yoter miMoshe Rabbeinu. You have nobody. Do you have anyone better than Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Mumchel rabim, and the pasuk says Moshe Rabbeinu alone would not be sufficient, right? V'kama leh HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Ad de'ika Aaron ba'adach. You need to have Aaron with you as well. Tichtiv vayomer Hashem el Moshe ve'el Aaron. Hashem told Moshe and Aaron be'eretz Mitzrayim lemor hachodesh hazeh lachem. It has to be more than one dayan. You couldn't not do it even with the greatest of Klal Yisrael being Moshe Rabbeinu alone, can't do Kiddush HaChodesh. This is a different realm of adjudication than regular monetary judgments, and therefore you need a full bedin, not a Yachid Mumche. And the next piece actually is a fascinating piece of an ed becoming a dayan. Can a witness judge a case? Someone that saw the testimony themselves, can they sit as a dayan in a case? Usually we would say en ed nase dayan, and here we seem to be okay with the ed becoming dayan, which would be the next piece of the Gemara Be'ezrat Hashem for tomorrow.